All right, here's what we're gonna try to fish out. I've got 3 really nice red oaks. It's these guys right here. There's 3 of them right there. And I did anchor seal them, but they still checked because they've been out here. Man, I bet those guys have been laying here for probably a year, a little over. But anyway, very nice. Bought these off of a guy that I done some custom sawing for. He called me up and he had cut them down, asked me if I was interested. I said, sure, I'll take them. I'll use them for something. So we're gonna try to fish these out. The problem that I've got, I'm gonna have to come in up here on the upper side with the excavator and see if I can pull them up and pick them up and then move, because I've got all of this mess right here. And I've got a plan for this. This is all firewood. That's all this is. This is all firewood. And I am trying to locate, I found when I sent him a message trying to find a firewood processor in the area that I can rent for like a day, 2 days, or a weekend. I think if I had it here ready to go and had one person helping, I think I could get through this right here in a day without any problem. And there's probably some more firewood over there, but different story for a different time. But I gotta try to get in there with the excavator, pull it up the hill so I can grab a hold of it and then come back down. And we're gonna bring it in here to the mill. And here's what we're gonna do with it. I think I showed this on another video. No, maybe I didn't. Maybe I didn't. I'm working on, for the timber frame building, some flooring. And this is what we've got so far in the flooring world. This is oak. There is some white oak under here, but this on top is post oak. And it's in the white oak family, very weather resistant. And we're going to be using this for flooring in the building. We're cutting it 8 inches wide, 1.25 inches thick. So that's what we're going to do with this red oak, if we can get it out and get it fished out and get it in here. So let's get to work on this stuff. And I've got a fairly new blade on the sawmill, but we'll bring it in here and see what we can do with it. See what we can't make some pretty lumber out of it. So the problem appears to me, part of the problem is the bark on this stuff is peeling off and I can't hold on to it. There we go. Now we're moving a little bit. Come on, come on, come on, Cletus. Okay. That's a start. See if we can pick it up. I ain't centered on it. This is a big log right here now. Let me tell you, it's a big log. Oh man. Well, ain't this just a monster? Y'all see me over there? So, red oak down here on the operator end, on the big end, she's going to be about 25 inches. Down here on the small end, she's going to be 24 inches. So there's not a whole lot of taper to it. And lengthwise, let's go from this end here. Don't matter, but let's go from this end here. Lengthwise, about fell. She's going to be 12 feet and 10 inches long. I've got a little tool. Let me bring y'all in here. Let me show you my tool. Let's estimate how many board feet are in this log right here. So I was at a flea market the other day. Son and I go to those types of things, flea markets, antique fairs. We like old junk. I was looking around at some old tools, and there was a guy there. He had a bunch of, y'all have seen these, or something like them, tape measures, these foldable tape measures. Your grandpa probably had one. But not all of these are always tape, or not all of them are always tape measures. I guess you call it a tape measure, do you? What do you call it? A foldable measuring device? I don't know what you call it. But anyway, not all of them are alike. This, I don't know if y'all can see it, is a Lufkin Doyle log scale. And what that means is this is used to measure logs to determine the board footage in them. And the way this works we're going to be using this side. The way this works, there are three measurements right here. If you can see, there's a 12, a 14, and a 16. And that is used whenever you're talking about the length of your log. So we're going to be using the number 12 scale. Over here on this side, it's got an 18. It's got the 18 and the 10-foot scale. But we're going to be using the 12-foot scale. So what we're going to do, got a little hook right there. We're going to hook that onto our log, and we're going to roll this thing around, and we're going to find the most narrow point. So we know that this is the small end. So we're going to spool this around, and we're going to find the most narrow point going. And this thing is, it's pretty consistent all the way around. So what we're going to do is we're going to hook this onto our log, and we're going to go out here to the end, just inside the bark. And we're going to go down here to the 12-foot scale. Now remember, the 12-foot scale is the bottom. So I've got that on the edge over there, and I'm going to come over here to this edge. And on the 12-foot scale, we've got 271 and 300. And it don't land exactly on either one of them. So this log has in it somewhere between 271 and 300 board feet of lumber. Now that's not square feet, that's board feet. And a board foot is 1 inch by 1 inch, 1 inch by 12 inch by 12 inches long. That's a board foot. So this thing has somewhere between 271 and 300 board feet. So I'm going to guess about 285. That's probably going to be a pretty fair estimate. And this is not exact. It is an estimate. It's just a scale. So we think that this sucker has in it somewhere around 285 board feet. This is just one of three. It is the biggest, but it's just one of three. So I was just looking on Marketplace at the price of red oak, and it's all over the board. There was a guy that had, he called it low grade, and I looked at it, looked at the pictures, and it's pretty low grade stuff, and it was live edge, and wasn't kiln dried. It sounded like he wanted to get rid of it. 700 board feet for $350. So that's 50 cents a board foot, but that's super cheap stuff. All the way up to $5 a board foot for kiln dried, finished on 4 sides, surfaced on 4 sides, just really high quality stuff everywhere in between. I did find some that was air dried 13/16 inch thick. I'm gonna cut this 1.25 inch thick. 13/16 inch thick for $2 a board foot. So shout out to our friends over on Patreon. I've heard Nathan do this in the past. I'm gonna do the same thing. If you want to know what I paid for these 4 logs, and I don't remember how many board feet's in the other one, but we know there's about 285 in this one. The others are a little bit smaller, but not by much. If you want to know what I paid for those 4 logs, I'll post that over on Patreon. And I've said this before, we use Patreon as a way, we get so many questions about farming and chickens and pigs and cows and marketing and all that kind of thing. We use that as a way to triage. If you ask us a question over there, I promise you I'll answer. I can't always promise I'll answer on, you know, a comment on YouTube or a message on Facebook or some of those other platforms. But if you leave me a message over there, I promise I'll answer you. So, but I'll post what I paid for those 3 logs over on Patreon for our friends over there. So I've got this thing whittled down to about a 18 by 22 inch cant. And I'm trying to decide my next strategy. I'm wanting to get as many 8-inch wide, 1.25 inch thick boards as I can. And if I end up with some more narrow ones, that'll be fine. We can use that for interior paneling. If I end up with some wider ones, I can use that. And dogs. If I end up with something wider, I can use that for interior paneling, I think. I've not decided on my interior paneling. I'm just thinking flooring right now. But for flooring, I don't need to be standing up there. For flooring, I want, like I say, 8-inch wide, 1.25 inch thick. But this is pretty. Let me bring y'all in. I want you to see this stuff and see what it looks like. It's absolutely gorgeous. I'll scrape a little sawdust and then I'll bring y'all up here to look at this. And red oak, it will change color as it dries. But this is really nice. Really nice stuff. I don't know that the camera can do that particular justice, but that is some pretty stuff. And it smells nice too. Got some nice cathedral grain right there. That's pretty stuff. Didn't have my saw deep enough on that end, but that's all right. Red oak. Okay, it's getting on about 7 o'clock. I think I'm gonna run the house and eat about supper and study up on my strategy and decide how I want to approach this thing going forward. You know, sawmilling is not, it's not turning that blade on and walking back and forth. There's a lot of strategy and thought goes into it to maximize and get the product that you want out of a log. So I'm gonna go think on my strategy. I'm probably gonna, I know I will, I'm gonna go watch, I'm not a sawmill channel. There they go. I'm not a sawmill channel. I'm a farmer with a sawmill. That's all I claim to be. But I watch a lot of good sawmill content. And if you're looking for good sawmill content, I'm gonna post links to all of these guys down below. Robert Milton down at Hobby Hardwood, Alabama. Excellent sawmill channel. Talks about how to maximize, how to get the best quality lumber. A lot of good tips and tricks there. Go watch him. My buddy Nathan over Out of the Woods, y'all have seen him on the channel here a couple times. Probably, I would say Nathan is probably the most famous sawmill operator in America. If you own and operate a sawmill, you know who Nathan is. But Out of the Woods, I'll post a link to his channel down below. Eric Champion, the Bearded Lumber, good friends of ours. They're here in North Carolina. They've got a fairly new LT40 electric, and they've got some millwork going on down there. Those guys have got a real nice molder, plenty of real nice millwork set up there, doing some tongue groove, shiplap, all that kind of stuff. S4S lumber. Another great sawmill channel, and they're here in North Carolina, of course. And then Richard over at Smoky Mountain Outpost. Now he does a lot of sawmilling, but he also does a lot of construction. And he's got a little homestead over in over the Great Smoky Mountains over in Tennessee, not too far from here. And I draw a whole lot of inspiration from Richard. He is just he's such a craftsman. I wish I had a tenth of his talent in the building arts that he does. I mean, and when I say art, what he does is art. That's the only way to describe it. So there's your 4 good channels if you're looking for some more sawmilling content. I'm a farmer with a sawmill. I'm gonna go get me about a supper. We'll get back on this thing tomorrow. Okay, through the magic of editing, we are back next day. So, like I said, went to the house, watched some Robert Milton videos. Robert, if you ever watch this, thank you. I appreciate your knowledge. You've been very, very helpful. So what we're again, what we're trying to accomplish here is we want to saw our boards as flat as possible and try to set ourselves up for success and reduce as much cup, twist, and bow as we can. So we want to saw these boards flat. We want to stack and sticker them flat. We want them to stay flat. So what we're going to do, and I don't know how well it shows up. Let's go down to the other end. I know it shows up better down there. Okay, so what Robert was saying was that whenever you're sawing, you want to look at your growth rings. And on your growth rings, you don't want a whole lot of variation in the angles that those growth rings are going in between the sides and the middle. If you do, you'll get a cup. That thing will cup on you. And we're going to be watching the tension as we saw this, and if we notice that we're getting a lot of tension whenever a board cuts loose and we get a lot of movement in it, then we've got tension there and we'll need to rotate. So what we want to do is we want to take a few boards off here, and we'll need to edge these because these are going to be wider than what we need. So we're going to take a few boards off here. Then we're going to flip that thing up and we're going to read our grain pattern, and we're going to try to keep our grain as flat across the surface of the board as we can. I don't know if that makes any sense. He does a much better job of explaining it than I do, but we want to try to keep our grain pattern. We want to reduce as much variation in the angle of that grain coming in to the board as we possibly can. So let's see if we can saw this thing. Big log. Don't want to waste it. Want to get some nice flooring off of this. So let's get to work on it, see what we can do with it. Well, y'all, I have no idea what happened here. None at all. We were sawing along. All of a sudden I started hearing a grinding sound. Sparks were flying, and that blade has dipped terribly bad. I don't know what has happened here, but we had sparks absolutely pouring out of that area right in there. So, daggone. Guess I'll go to the shop, get me a angle grinder and a cutoff wheel. We'll cut that blade out of there. See if we've tore anything up. Man. I don't know if that's a function of the blade being dull. I was noticing on that first cut, it was going kind of slow. Wasn't cutting real well. I thought, well, let me see if we can get through this log. Something bad happened right there. I don't know what that is. I'll just tell y'all, something didn't sound right or feel right about that whole deal. When I started, I don't know what it is or what happened, but something didn't feel right about it to begin with. Now, how do we get in here to do this? Because we got this big old log here. Not a whole lot of room down in there. If we can come at it from this angle, I guess. No, that ain't gonna work. Can we get to it from over here? Yeah, maybe we can get to it right here. Little tension on there. I should have let the tension off of it. That's my bad. Daggone it. Daggone it. Somebody seen that coming. Y'all should have told me. Why didn't you tell me? All right. There's the blade out of it. Let's open it up, see if we've tore anything up. Sling that thing out. I know these machines are not, they're not delicate flowers, and they're made to work, but you still don't want to just abuse them and tear stuff up. You know, when you pay the kind of money you pay for these things, you don't want to break them. That's for sure. So right here was where we were getting sparks. And everything, I mean, everything looks okay. That roller spins like it should. This is the idle wheel. Seems okay. Like I say, all the sparks and stuff were coming from right here, so that's where we were hitting metal on metal. But it didn't last long. When that sucker decided to go, she went. I reckon the only thing to do now is just put another blade on there and try her again. Can't let it buffalo us. I guess we could. If we were to let this buffalo us, we'd have to trade out and get us a pair of skinny jeans. So we ain't doing that. I ain't doing that. All right, I have got some blades here that I just have got back. I know they're rusty from being sharpened. So we're gonna try one of these guys. Because I've got some new blades over there, but I don't think I want to waste a new blade on this tree, not knowing what this thing's gonna do. Okay, got a new blade on there. I'm gonna fire this thing up and we're gonna spin the blade a time or two and seat it in and make sure, we'll take our covers back off and make sure it's sitting on the guide wheels like it should be. We get our tension right, and then probably what I'll do is just make a cut. I'm not trying to do anything at size, I just want to do a test cut to run through that log and see what it does. I'll be honest, that sounded better and it felt better. As I was going through, it on that last one, when that thing ended up taking a dive, Angel, honey, watch out. When that thing ended up taking a dive, it something didn't feel right about it, honestly. Something just didn't feel right. It felt like the mill was struggling. So it might have been a dull blade issue. I don't think I was sawing too fast. What I'm really doing right here is seeing how flat we are. Or did we get a lot of that run up like we did a while ago? And it sure don't look like we did. I mean, there's a knot there, a knot there, and it don't feel like we got maybe a little bit. And I'll be honest with you, so that's a Silvertip Turbo 7, and I've got two different thicknesses. My buddy Eric down at the Bearded Lumber recommended a Silvertip Turbo 7 45 thousandths thickness for hardwood, 55 thousandths thickness for softwood, particularly for pine, because pine knots can be very, very hard. And if you've got a thicker blade, he says that you won't get as much rise and dip with a thicker blade on those, but that the thinner blade actually works better for the hardwood, and I don't know which one this is. When I took these blades and had them sharpened, they weren't labeled, so I don't know which one it is. That's why I got I've got some brand new Silvertip Turbo 7 45 thousandths and 55 thousandths thickness up there, but I didn't want to put a brand new blade on here, run through and it do the same thing, bind up, and may have to cut it out again. So, but I think we're okay. I'm going to cut this thing. I'm going to see if I can clean this terrible dip out, and by then we'll probably just have to flip it. I think we'll have to flip it based on our end grain pattern. All right, I took that thing down to 15 inches. 15 inches from the bed up in order to clear where my blade had taken a dip there a few minutes ago. Gosh almighty, what have I done? That's heavy. So I've got, I don't know how thick that slab is. It's got a big old cut in the middle of it. It's not good for anything. Now, oh, well, it busted anyway. So, daggone, that's interesting. Let's look at this. Right here's where our blade on that last cut started giving us problems, right in here. And right there's where we ended up stopping. And it's broken right there. And I'm just not sure why it done that. Let's flip this up. What is all that black? Those black specks. It's full of them. Don't know if that means anything or not. And then right here, like I say, that's where our blade ended up getting hot, stopping whatever it was. That's where I stopped the mill and shut it off, was right there. So got a knot. I don't know. That's oddball. But up here, where we just got done sawing, walk around here. That looks nice. That looks real nice. I'm not sure what's that discoloration right there? Well, we're gonna flip it up and start taking boards off like that next time. So, but anyway, pretty stuff. I think we've got our blade issue solved. Fingers crossed. Wow. right, y'all. I'm a nervous wreck after that whole fiasco with that blade doing what it done. Anyway, here's where we're at. Ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I got 5 8-inch wide by 1 1/4 inch thick boards. This is for flooring. So I figured out what all this discoloration was. This is punky wood. I mean punky wood. Look at this right here. That just breaks apart. So I was going to try to take one off the other side. Thought I might cut down through that. It went so far it wasn't going to work. So I've got a little bit on some edging of some of these other boards right here. We'll put them back up on the sawmill, and we're going to cut all this stuff down to 8 inches wide. So I've got some really nice wide boards here. We'll trim them down too. And then whatever the difference is, we'll keep those and we'll use those for something. So it's not all going to be a waste, but I need 8-inch widths. And then if we've got some 4 or 5 or 6 or whatever, we'll just stack them and we'll hold on to them. We'll use them for something because it's good red oak, except for, looks like there's 2 of them. There's 2 right there. That's punky, and then that bottom one up there's got a little wane on it. That bottom one's got some wane up there towards the end. We'll clean all that off. So I'm gonna get these right here stacked, and then we'll get the rest of them up here. We'll get them edged and see if we can get that done before quitting time. I've got somewhere I need to be here in a little bit. All right, I think I am gonna call her quits for the day. I am mentally spent after that whole blade fiasco, and as I was pulling some of these off, I noticed that I had a knot somewhere that had given me a little dip in some of those boards. So we'll have to go back and square those up, but still usable. And I've got these in the front. I need to, excuse me, I need to trim them down to 8 inches and cut some of that punky wood off of the ones that were bad. But I got my calculator out and got to figuring about 80 square feet of flooring here. And for a building that's going to be 320 square feet, that's pretty good. Let's see, what would that be? 320 divided by 80. Y'all quicker on math than I am. 320 divided by 80. That's, well, actually 80 divided by 320. So that's about a quarter. Yeah, that's about a quarter of the flooring. And then I've got some more of the white oak and the post oak that we done on another video. So, just not sure what happened to that blade. I don't know what happened to that blade. It just dove, and then we had to cut it out. But I think the mill's fine. Everything seems to cut good. I done some measuring. I think we're cutting pretty true right now. So we'll try it again, maybe tomorrow. We'll see. But anyway, I think that's going to do it. Like I always say, please keep us in your prayers. May God bless you and your families. We'll see you on the next video. Thanks.